Hello and welcome to the People with People podcast, where we talk with people about people-y people things. Today I'm joined by my good friend Jerry, and we are going to actually have a topic today, which is different than normal. So today, introduce yourself, Jerry.
Hello everyone, my name is Jerry. That's me.
Yeah, it's you. Awesome. So today we're going to talk about, that sort of, I don't know if they call it the Mandela effect, or if it's like it's that moment when you go to like a movie or a play or something like that. Sometimes it happens with books, but books are slower, where you read it or watch it, and then the hour after you finished it, you think something completely differently about it. Most of the time, for me anyway, it's you're watching the movie and it's an amazing movie and you love the movie, and you go home and an hour later you hate that movie. So what is the best way what's the most personal way that's happened to you with like a form of media, Jerry?
A form of media.
I guess it could be a YouTube video.
I thought of a idea about relationships. Which really isn't a form of media, but I found that it works well. I was in a relationship, and at the moment I was like, oh, this is the greatest thing in the world. Like, she's fantastic. We're having a great life together. Clearly, I'm not with her now because I'm married to another woman who's way more awesome, and I'm way more satisfied. So I was like, yes, let's put that out there. I don't want my wife to be like, oh, so you having a relationship? No, that's not the story. Let's finish the episode. But the thing was, like, much later in life, I looked back at the relationship, and I was like, oh, that was awful. Why did I even put up with half of those things that happened? Why did I, like, in the moment enjoy it? And so it makes me think about that. Like, immediately brought the topic, I was like, oh yeah, that experience. I thought it was great, and I was like, I was a fool. So yeah, that's the greatest experience of that I can say I had. But that's not a movie, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great example. For me, sorry, I'm gonna move my mic stand up because it's falling. There we go. Is that better? Cool. We're totally leaving this in, Zach. Future Zach. Totally. I have to say, probably the word, like, I love Star Wars, and if you've listened to other episodes of the podcast, you'll know that I probably love Star Wars, especially like the last episode was all about Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and Marvel and stuff like that.
I love Lord of the Rings and Marvel.
Yeah. But when I watched, and you sort of know my opinion on the latest Star Wars movies, again, from the last episode, if you don't, watch the last episode.
I've not watched the last episode, so I have to catch up.
Yeah. That episode is with, I think, Cameron and Daniel, who are some other friends of mine. Cameron actually runs a YouTube channel too, which is cool. But that, like, I really enjoyed episode 8 in the theater.
Gotcha.
Like, I loved it in the theater.
What was the name of episode
8? The Last Jedi. Not to be confused with Return of the Jedi.
Okay, yeah, I have seen Last Jedi. I was like, I've seen Return. Okay, I have not seen the Return. Okay. I have seen Last Jedi.
Yeah. Last Jedi, like, it's very visually stunning. It's choreographed decently well. Like, in the moment, it looks good.
Yeah.
The choreography also has some issues with it, if you're mad enough at the movie to care.
Yeah.
But when I got home from the theater, because I did watch it in theaters because I like Star Wars, I sort of went, that was okay. Come to think of it, there were some sections of that were completely pointless. And I didn't really like this, and I didn't really like that. And that wasn't that great. And then it was just a downward spiral of, man, that was an awful movie. Why did I ever think that was a good movie? Now, it's okay. All in all, that's my current opinion. It's a decent film. It's definitely not all of the terribleness that most of the people on Reddit think sometimes.
Reddit will destroy a movie.
Yes. But it has some good things. My really only problem with the movie, and I think I said this in the last episode, is that Rey isn't compelling. She doesn't have any relatable qualities to me. So I can't relate to anything really that's going on with Rey, who seems to be the focal character of the story. And so I'm just sort of sitting there going, I'm not invested in any of this. It's, again, visually, it looks very good, but I'm not invested in it.
I mean, like, I remember, like, I think at the very beginning of the movie, there was, like, a beam that was held for, like, the whole first kind of, like, scene.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as it gets into playing, like, the beam just, like, continues to blow up something. And then I think about later in the movie how weak he was. And I was like, wait, what? You were the strongest person in the universe to hold a beam for 30 minutes, have a conversation, yada, yada, yada. And then, like, blow up when you leave, but you couldn't defeat her then. Crazy stuff. Yeah. But I think I've had this experience with another movie. I remember Justice League. Almost every DC movie that exists, except for Wonder Woman. And if you've seen the new Aquaman, it is worth seeing because it is on par with Wonder Woman with how good it is. It's useful to see. So,
I had given up after Justice League, so I may actually go watch that.
I saw Wonder Woman for my wife, and I was like, I'm empowered. I'm not even a woman, but I feel empowered by this movie. Yeah. And then Aquaman, it just looked good, and I was like, Aquaman has always been one of my favorite characters. I was like, please, don't mess up Aquaman. Also, in Justice League, he served no purpose. I was like, why are you even alive in this movie? Like, he did nothing. I think he had one scene where he was, like, a pointful person, and he, like, moved some water out the way. He did nothing else. Like, they gave him a whole movie, and then bring him in, and that's just a lot of chaos. But the Justice League movie, and I was like, yeah, it's going to be great. Superman did this, Batman did that, and, like, other people were there, and I was like, at the end, I was like, that was the worst movie I've ever seen. Who put that together and thought it was okay? Like, and when I left the theater, I wanted to believe it was good. I truly wanted. I was like, no, this movie was okay. This movie was not as terrible. Okay, it was terrible. It was horrible. I wasted the money and the time. I can't get that back.
Oh yeah, but I think movies, like especially DC movies, are good at that section of it. Is keeping an audience on their toes enough to not realize how bad of a movie it is.
Yes, that's a perfect example.
And I really wish they didn't do that. I wish they made decent movies in the first place.
Yes.
And so that got me thinking, like, the whole DC Marvel thing was how these are, like, equivalent universes almost. They're the same concept.
Exactly.
They're done a little differently. Stylistically, they're a little different. But the way you would do it is the same. And so I'm trying to figure out the difference between Marvel and DC as far as their cinematic universes are.
Yeah.
Is Marvel set up characters and then made a team. Whereas DC set up a team and then tried to make characters. I think.
Okay, so if we go along that line of thought, what would be the flaw with the DC scheme of things?
I think it's all in execution, because I think you can do the reverse pretty well, too. Like, if Marvel had started with the first Avengers film, and then released Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, so on and so forth, you still could have gotten a decent interest. Now, some issues with that is the first Avengers film wouldn't have done as well comparatively, because you would have advertised a bunch of characters and then built them. Whereas I think when they did Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, and then Thor 1, so on and so forth, where they went, these are all of these characters, and now they're going to meet up and do something together. Not to mention, in that you're also setting up the villain or villains for whatever. It's a lot more like a TV show than it is a movie, if that makes sense.
It really is. It really is. You can compile it all together.
Yeah. Now, the next question is DC has a TV show, which is pretty decent. Fathoms above the actual movies, which is, I think it's Legends of Tomorrow.
They have like 16 different shows.
Yeah. It's the one where, like, a bunch of people from Arrow and The Flash team up. Yeah. And that one's done well, again, because those characters have been established in different TV shows.
Yes.
So, when you know what's happened in those shows, they're compelling for what's happening in that show.
Yeah.
Again, that is, why doesn't that work in the movie format? And it could just be because the movies themselves are terrible, and that the format is okay.
because I've even seen that in the shows between DC and Avengers. Avengers had terrible shows.
Oh yeah,
their TV shows are trash.
Yes.
I remember like
I wanted to think they were good.
and it was like when they had the Avengers show, that was horrible. Spider-Man was always a great show.
Yeah, well, Spider-Man's always great.
There's like 45 different Spider-Man, and I almost watched all of them. I'm only doing it now.
I've tried to
right
watch
behind, and I need to also watch Into the Spider-Verse, but that's a different story.
We should go together. I haven't seen it.
Okay, we should do that. I have movie pass. I need to use my movie pass.
Yeah.
But back to the topic.
Yep.
I've seen the different Marvel shows. The X-Men was great.
Yeah.
The Avengers itself TV show is the most horrendous thing I've ever seen in life. But I absolutely love Justice League TV show. I love Super Friends even before Justice League became the show it was. And they both were great. Somehow, from TV show to movie, they suck. Like, it's just completely horrible. And I know that these are truths. The question is still why. I mean, you would think they would use the same creators. I mean, because they have the same concept even in the movies. I mean, in the TV shows of Justice League, they built a team. Yeah. Justice League starts off as, even with Super Friends, hey, we are these people. We're great together. Yep. Let's fight crime. And then you can have like a show about like Martian Manhunter break off of that. Yeah. You can have Aquaman having a show out of that. I don't know why in the TV shows it does. In the movie it doesn't work. Because even their TV shows today are still great. Arrow, Flash. I hear people ranting about these shows so much that I have to go back and start watching some of these shows. Yeah. But I'm like, but the movies just... Also, not to mention that the timelines are all mixed up and they're terrible inside out.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Okay. If we talk about the MCU, their timelines sometimes get skewed from comics, but I don't read comics. I just like watching stuff.
Yeah. Well, you don't care as much because it's a good movie.
I don't. That's exactly why. It's a great movie. I'm like, who cares about timelines?
Yeah. I do feel like there's a bit of that audience spiral where if enough people dislike it, it will get disliked even more because more people will find things wrong with it. Yes. Whereas if it's a good film, people were willing to overlook the things wrong with it.
Very, very true point. Never thought about that.
Yeah. I don't know why that is either. I'll have to do I'll do a thought tank episode on that. Comment below this video to remind me that I said that in this episode so I actually do it. Because I was supposed to do that a couple episodes for, I think, a link to a website, and I completely forgot to do that. Until someone went, hey, you didn't do that. You should do that.
I mean, I'm saying specifically about that specific topic.
Like, well, it was, I think I was linking to, like, a website. I don't remember. Okay. It was something. I posted a link to another video that I referenced in that video. Gotcha. But it's there now. Now that someone reminded me to put it there. So hold me accountable to that, please, because I'll probably forget. I think I already forgot. I don't remember what I was saying. I already forgot. Might have already forgotten.
I have to rewatch the video just to know the topic.
Yeah, I might find it in editing. But I think that when you have an audience who's looking at a movie and enjoying it versus looking at a movie and not enjoying it, you have like this valley where you have like enjoyment, and then it starts to dip down, and once you get to like a certain point, like on the enjoyment scale coming down, it completely crashes. Yeah, it does. And then you have the so bad it's good area, and it starts going back up again. Yeah. And a lot of DC films hit like right at the bottom, right before the so bad it's good, to the so bad it's just bad.
That's bad. Yeah, it just stays there. There's no uptick.
Yeah, but I would want to. I don't know. If I were doing it, I'd do a study on different movies. But like, I am trying to figure out how does Marvel have terrible shows and DC have terrible movies? Like, how are they the opposites of each other in forms of media?
Well, a couple things. I can think one, Marvel does a great job. I guess maybe not a great job. We're just comparing Marvel to DC. Yeah. Marvel in the movies, they have a great job of keeping continuity throughout the entire timeline. Like, once out the line, like the things they make sense. Like A plus B actually equals C instead of like L squared. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
How did we get to L squared? What does even squared mean?
What is L squared?
Right. We're just like, why are we even doing algebra? Like, why can't we just say this equals this?
Yeah.
Versus the DC, they keep changing things in the middle. Like, things just keep getting switched, and you're like, that's a curveball that doesn't need to be there because it actually makes the entire thing more confusing than just keeping like it's like they're trying to reinvent their story, and we're like, in the middle of
the story,
keep your story. We like that. We just want to see it with like a lot of CGI and stuff blowing up.
Yeah,
we want to see like Superman punch a hole through somebody's face. And we just want to see that. Like, let it be what it is. I mean, it's not rated R, so there's a hole through somebody's face. Yeah, but like
that's a Deadpool thing there.
Yeah, that would be a Deadpool thing. Which is a totally different thing. But I want to see somebody like in Justice League, Superman hit somebody like halfway across the city. I want to see that in CGI. Like, let him be Superman instead of like just like, oh, I'm afraid to hit somebody kind of guy. Yeah.
Well, and I think DC has continuity. It has the wrong continuity.
Yeah, they like to put stuff in there that belong there.
Well, like they don't explain things.
They don't. We're just supposed to study this.
Well, they don't explain things, and when they do, they explain it badly. That's the thing. Like in Suicide Squad, it was a lot of tell, don't show.
Yeah.
And when they told, they didn't tell what we needed to know, and sometimes they just told us the same thing they told us 20 minutes ago with a different character. Which, again, is continuity, because that character technically didn't know that. We did, though, so we didn't need to see that character know that.
Yeah, because it was just, like, implied, implicit knowledge.
Yeah. And, like, it wasn't important enough information to have a scene. Like, it wasn't information where the audience is going, I hope they figured that out. Yeah. It was information where the audience is going, well, I'm glad we know that.
Alright, next up.
We still know that.
We still know that.
You told it to us 20 minutes ago. Like, they kept continuity even, I think in Batman vs. Superman and in Man of Steel, somebody did like a side-by-side in the beginning when Batman is watching Superman fight Zod. Yeah. They did a side-by-side like GIF, or GIF, I'm not getting into that debate.
Didn't know what the thing.
No, it's a debate. I don't care enough to. I don't care enough to care. I'll put it that way. They put them side by side, and when you see Batman looking up at the building and like the laser eyes are shooting through it, they line it up with the inside in Man of Steel, where Superman's face is being jerked around while he's laser eyeing, and it does line up. Like, they kept continuity with that in the direction of Superman's face.
Really weird continuity to keep.
Yes.
But, okay.
I'm fine with you keeping that continuity. That's a good thing. But that's not the continuity you needed to keep. Yeah. Like, one of the things I think was the big problem with Batman vs. Superman was the motivation didn't work.
Yes, exactly.
It was sort of I'm not motivated to do that.
Right, not
this
at all.
Doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that?
Really affect me like that. Yeah.
And when you get to that point, you begin going, this feels like a film that's trying to get Batman and Superman to fight for just any reason.
Yeah, really, they're just like...
And that begins that downslope of...
I mean, and then they stuck Wonder Woman in there, and I was like, yeah, you didn't let them kill each other, but also, how did you even know about this?
Yeah.
Like, how were you close enough to just be like, I think they're fighting. Let me go out there in costume just in case.
Well, I think even if you had done it in reverse, do Wonder Woman right before Batman vs. Superman, that would actually create more audience attention, because now they know who the character is in this universe.
Yes.
Like, even the people who know who Wonder Woman is now have an idea of what you've been doing with her, since Wonder Woman takes place in the past.
Yes, exactly.
So it doesn't matter where you put it.
At all.
If you just release it before Batman vs. Superman, that would have been a much more...
easier transition.
Would have been a better moment, because you would have been able to go, oh, we know that character.
She's back, yeah.
Why are they here?
Yeah, we could ask that question.
And it still could have been, oh, we know that character. Why is she in this terrible movie?
Right. It was a terrible movie, and then she was in. I was like, no, I actually like Wonder Woman. That was one of my great. I love her. Very interesting enough. I had a class where we were forced to read Wonder Woman comics.
Oh.
In the same year the movie was coming out, before the movie came out.
Oh.
So maybe a teacher was a woman. Maybe she was hoping the movie would be good.
Maybe.
And there was this really weird part of the comic book. Like, I'm reading, it's like a newer comic, 2000s.
Yeah.
And like the lady, this is the randomest part. Like in the comic, the lady's like, I wrote a paper you Wonder Woman, and I got an A. And I'm just like, that was a really random thing to say. Like, she's like, stay in school. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you say to that? You're a grown woman in college. Good job. Like, that's what you're supposed to. You pay tuition for that. I don't know. Was she supposed to clap for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really random. But about Suicide Squad, that's interesting. Because I actually love Suicide Squad. I thought that was a great movie.
Yeah.
Or I just have terrible taste in movies.
I enjoyed most of it.
Okay, gotcha.
There was just those few moments where I was like...
Definitely were a few head-scratching moments. Apparently it's supposed to be... Is there a 2 coming out, or just Harley Quinn movie?
I think it's just Harley Quinn.
Okay.
Well, like, I liked the action sequences. They looked cool. It was pretty visually stunning. I thought there were, I think, too many helicopter crashes in that movie.
We don't need 45 helicopters. It's like every movie has to have a car chase. Like, we know it's not actually necessary.
Like, compared to most movies, it's a pretty good film.
Yes.
But there was just, like, I didn't really feel like Joker had a spot in the film. I felt like he was shoved in there, so Harley Quinn was a good character.
Really unnecessary cameo.
Yeah. Like, other than that, I was like, okay.
Right, yeah.
But, like, the villain was interesting.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
The telling and not showing of the villain was not interesting. But the villain herself is an interesting character. Yeah. I would have loved to have seen how they acted instead of being told how they acted. Yeah, but but other than that, they had really good elements in that film. I feel like just a few of them were mismanaged. Mm-hmm. In terms of either direction or story, because that's the other thing when it comes to creating a movie, and I feel like some people don't give filmmakers enough credit for, is it's a very disjointed process sometimes.
Yes.
Especially when a corporation gets involved.
Yeah.
Because when you have someone who's like a director, and he's in with a team of writers, and the team of writers in with the actors, and everyone is on the same page about what this movie is doing.
Yeah.
And then the corporation shows up and goes, hey, we need to sell about 40 more toys of that, so make this person look cooler.
Yeah.
And then everybody else goes, okay, how do we do that?
Yeah.
And so now we have to showcase all of the coolness we put on the character, which detracts from the value of the movie because it's unnecessary. Unless you find a way to do it well and make it make sense, which some movies do very well. Not Episode 8, in my opinion. Which, halfway through, and this was in the theater, so you know it was bad, I went, Phasma, you're here to sell toys. You're not here to be a character in the movie. You're here to be a cool-looking stormtrooper.
You literally already picked it out. I'm like, hey, you're a toy troll? Okay.
Fine.
Yes.
Like, it was still a decent film all in all. To me, I was expecting a little bit different than Episode 4. Episode 4 was a great movie, so I'm not faulting you too much for that.
Yeah.
You have to appeal to a lot of people, so it's very safe.
Yeah.
But I was just sort of like, you can do both. It just takes effort. Sometimes a lot of effort, depending on the corporation demand. But I feel like that's where some of the process breaks down when trying to make like a movie you really enjoy, and then you have a company going, yeah, but money is a thing, and we need that.
Yeah. So do this for us.
Yeah. And also corporate trust is something. So like having a corporation trust, like Marvel does this really well. Mm-hmm. They try out new directors and things for that, but they keep an eye on them so much. They don't change things. They just sort of make sure that the person directing the film has an idea of the direction that the other directors who have been working on the film want it to go. So that way, basically, you have one new director. You're really boosting up that director, too, which is a cool thing, because you get them in contact with all these other different directors. Yeah. So, which is a really nice thing to do. I like seeing that MCU, is you're getting them in contact with these other people, and now your Marvel films basically have one director getting advice from about 12 different directors working in the same field. Yep, exactly, which I feel like gives you a way better movie in the long run. because you've had more creative minds doing it. So essentially, you're hiring one director for 12.
Yeah, basically.
By the time you get there, which is smart. DC didn't do that.
DC does a lot of things.
Yeah. I think actually in Justice League they switched directors halfway through the film.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
completely fired the other one and hired a new one in the middle.
So is that why the premise at the end of, I think it was the end of, it was Batman vs Superman.
Okay.
Where you see like the, it may have not been, it was Batman vs Superman because Superman died.
Yeah.
And then you see like the gravel just move from the ground for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then this just doesn't apply in that movie.
Yep.
And I'm like, so you just had levitating dirt, and he was like, yeah, it's not that levitating. I mean, it's the last scene. Yeah. People remember levitating dirt. And I'm like, he's alive. No, he actually was dead. We're actually gonna make some whole different kind of plan.
We got to get the magic MacGuffin box to bring him back to life.
You would have to, you have to raise that levitating dirt from the mind, right?
Yeah.
There's no other reason for that.
Yeah. And I do think, they keep, good continuity. They just keep the wrong continuity. They focus on the wrong continuity.
Yes, the wrong thing.
To keep. Because I would be fine with Superman's face not lining up with the holes coming through the building if the motivations make sense.
Yeah.
I'll enjoy the movie more and probably won't notice.
Focus on other things. Keep that, your goal is good.
Yeah.
Just the target of that was great. Was bad. See, and it's funny because I actually didn't even recognize. I didn't put together the Suicide Squad with the DC movie because it's actually good.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
yeah.
Wait, y'all made that?
Yeah.
Whoever did that movie needs to make the rest of them. Fire Rail. Whoever is calling the shots and making these terrible movies, you need a new job.
Yeah. Well, and Suicide Squad was also developing villains.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
It really was, yeah.
Marvel develops their villains pretty well because they put them in different movies.
Yeah.
You get a more... I feel like there's two ways of making a nuanced villain in that kind of a cinematic universe. Mm-hmm. One is have them be a villain in a different movie with a larger scope plan than that movie, so it can carry over. Or have them be a hero in one movie and a villain in the next.
I think Aquaman actually does the first one. Okay. Where they showcase a villain who's definitely going to be the focus of the next movie. Okay. But he does make a couple, really, important shows and there's an action scene. Yeah. But you're like, oh, he's really gonna try to destroy your existence in that movie. Yeah. His on the off season of this movie, he's fighting in character land about how to murder you. That's his whole goal. Aquaman is going down.
Yeah. Well, and I think some, not all. I think some people don't realize how smart audiences are sometimes. Mm-hmm. Because there are definitely moments where you can tell, and this, I'm thinking of a movie and I can't remember its name. But it's there's this moment where you can totally go, they were expecting me not to notice this, because there's all this sparkly stuff going on here, but that is stupid.
Yeah, I can see that dirt right there.
Yeah.
You can't just sweep that under the carpet. There's a giant lump under your carpet right
Or
there.
like that... It was harder in animated films because when you animated something, it looked different than the background, so you couldn't hide anything. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As soon as you get to that scene and there's something hiding under the carpet that's going to move, you know it's going to move because it's a completely different color than everything else.
Yeah, it's a lot harder to hide. Well, maybe that's why Justice League got away with more things. If you take that concept, that could have been why.
Yeah. Well, and then that goes to that hill again of audience enjoyment. Mm-hmm. Because the more the audience enjoys it, the more they forgive the awful continuity errors in it.
True.
But if they hate the film, they will find problems.
Pick more things wrong with it.
Yeah. Because people like being mad at things.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. But yeah. So, I guess really the last kind of question I want to ask is, how, as an audience member, would you deal with that?
Well, as an audience member.
So, the whole, effect of, you loved the movie in the theater, didn't like it an hour after you got back home or went out to eat or whatever, talked about it over dinner.
The greatest, this, I guess, depends on how you see your movies. Lots of people love to go to movie theaters, and I actually dislike that part, because I like to have the moment where I can talk this movie over with someone else.
Yeah.
because then I get other insights that I didn't know beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, you like, so, like, we can have this discussion directly after seeing the movie. And it helps me see, was it way worse than I thought it was? Yeah. And then sometimes it's like, actually, I didn't recognize that was the point. Yeah. So a lot of misunderstandings, misconstruing things can be cleared up. You're like, oh, it was a fantastic film. I wish I knew that halfway through I would have enjoyed it more.
Or like the moment where you go, oh, I completely missed that plot point. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah. Okay, now this all makes sense. I see how you connected A, B, and then L squared. Yeah. It could have been L or C. Yeah. But but I understand the L squared of it.
Yeah. Type of thing. I kind of agree with that. Having other people to sort of talk about a movie with definitely helps you have a good opinion.
Even if you just bash it together.
Yeah.
Bash it together. That's great.
Yeah. Well, and it gives you a well-founded opinion. So at least you have stuff to back up what you're talking about with. And it's always better, like, in most things, to go with a panel of people on decisions and, like, thinking through things and things like that. That's why businesses exist.
That is very true.
Stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And we should be on a normal schedule for this year. Took some time off for Christmassy things, but I have some announcements to do. First off, soon-ish, I'm going to be starting a hopefully weekly show, which you will see come out, called Mispronunciation Station. I'll explain it in that episode. But be excited for that. I'm also planning on doing a lot more of the thought tanks, so those should be more frequent. You should see more of those coming out soon. And also, hopefully getting this show to fire off more, because even if it's hard to get people, like, during the holidays, and during, like, this is right before people come back for college and school, so this is sort of the prime time this month. Just sort of getting everything schedules figured out, getting more shows that require less people. So, yeah, all in all, thank you for joining us, and we hope that you have a wonderful day. But remember, next time you're talking with somebody, you should listen to them too. Bye!